And I derailed us a little bit because I'm curious if you're going back and you're with the campaign, you're not making this into a graphic novel, but you are making way for illustrations throughout. I'm assuming there was a much longer Snyder cut someplace where you took out whole sections of prose to replace with here's a good opportunity for an illustration. So how many drafts does that take? Can you go back and easily do that in one draft and cut it down further, or how does that
Yeah, well,
process?
so one of the really nice things about having a literary agent is that I always get Stephen to weigh in, or almost always get Stephen to weigh in before I'm done with a manuscript. So this one, I think I probably sent him the first, maybe 75 pages and said, what do you think of this as a direction for my next book? And that was when he said, could you put art in it? So I wasn't rewriting the whole thing, like just the bit that he had seen.
Oh, okay. So you hadn't finished the full manuscript?
I had not. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And then when it comes to working with your editor, is Maggie Lerman? Is that right?
Yeah. This was my first time working with Maggie on the campaign, and then we're doing my next middle grade together as well.
So in that case, I mean, do you sit down and say, "Hey, look, I've done this job. I've got the experience as an editor, so go get some coffee. Have a nice afternoon. Work on some of your many other projects. I got this for you." Or is it a situation where the dentist goes and complains when he has to get her teeth cleaned at the other dentist? Doesn't and wants to be it was uncomfortable the whole time, or is a better model patient because they know what to expect?
I like to believe I'm a better model patient. I mean, I guess you could ask my editors if they thought that was true. But no, I mean, I think there are definitely things. There are some things where I'm just like more chill about them because I understand that like the editor doesn't really have a say over them, or I can sort of like, for example, like I have authors who will change a lot of things in first pass pages, and that puts in extra challenge for the designer and the copy editor. So I don't do that because like I've worked with designers and copy editors and I'm aware of how that puts an undue burden on them. So that's something that like maybe wouldn't occur to someone who hasn't worked in-house. No, and I mean, I think I like being edited as much as anybody likes being edited, which is to say, like, initially you're like, no, why can't you just think it's perfect the way that it is? And then you're like, okay, these are good suggestions, and I will make these changes. And I think also sometimes I'm like every bit as helpless as anyone who doesn't have, where I'll be like, I understand we need more of a conflict here. We need to make, we need some sort of resolution in this plot line or whatever it is, but like, I don't know what it is. Like the reason why that plot line's not resolved is because I don't know what the resolution looks like. So like, help me. Stay on the phone with me for an hour and like help me brainstorm what it could be.
I've got to assume, and you know what, Maggie Lerman, if you're listening, I would love to have you on the show, and I will ask you some of these questions as well.
But and she's an author too. Maggie is
better than the average writer. I'm sorry.
Maggie's an author as well.
Oh, excellent. Well, that's perfect. So next time you've got a book, I assume Maggie Lerman listens every week. Next time you've got a book, come on, let's talk about it, and we'll get some insight into editing Leila Sales as well. But I've got to imagine that you've got to be a little bit easier to work with than the average writer, because you're going to take feedback a little bit more laid back. You're going to understand what's needed when it's told, even if you don't maybe agree with it or like it. You at least probably you speak the language. You know what she needs and why she's asking for it, right?
Yes.
Well, there you go.
I don't know that I get like any. I think what I'm saying is like I'm no less like emotional about it than any other writer is. Like when I get negative feedback, there's no part of me that's like, well, you have given negative feedback many times, and so of course it's just like, this is nothing personal, and so on and so forth. It's like I still feel as upset as any other writer would.
What do you do with that? Because I assume you can't throw a fit. You can't. You don't want to make a stink. how do you deal with that when you've got those feelings and you know you have to do something that you don't want to do?
I mean, you feel bad for a while. Sometimes I'll call one of my writer friends and complain to them. And, you know, I think you like need colleagues who like go through similar things in their careers and who could say things to you like, oh, that's so unfair. And because you can say it back to them. You know, sometimes I'll email my editor, or sorry, not my editor. Don't go to your editor if you're upset. But I'll email my agent, and he'll email me back, and he'll say like, this is very disappointing. And you know, even just knowing that someone's in your corner and you're not alone, you're like, okay, yeah, like, yeah, it's not so bad because I have people who are like in it with me.